Okay, now that I've calmed down naturally, as we all do when we're angry, we have a period of buildup, and then our speech pattern changes. We get angry, we yell. When we do yell, that is. And then after a while, we are in this kind of angry state of mind where our thought races. Those are the symptoms of anger. Look them up. And psychiatrists wish for you to think that they are the symptoms of mental illness because we do not feel like ourselves when we're angry. So now that I've calmed down, I'm wearing the same thing. I have a band-aid over the pimple on my face because I did not want this video to wait. I think I got all the stuff. Sometimes it doesn't show up on the video when I'm looking at it for some strange reason, but it shows up afterwards. Those little cotton balls I have in my sweater sometimes. And sometimes the light reflects off my beard. It makes it look like there's things in my beard when there isn't. It's just little hairs that are out of sorts. Hopefully they're not doing that right now. Anyway, this video is called People Who Take Advantage of Vulnerable Individuals and People Who Make People Do Things They Don't Want to Do. For a long time, gangs have taken the blame for what the New World Order is doing. Many of them grew up in environments where criminality was promoted through music, the media, dramatic gangster movies, through their peers and through a desire, through shared perspectives, such as school being boring and, wanting to be cool and tough and things of this nature. Well, the shot callers of prison gangs are basically there because the New World Order allows them to be there. Just like with puppet dictators in third world nations. How many of you honestly think that the CIA and the intelligence community is concerned with puppet dictators in foreign nations, but not concerned with major figures in society? Well, my phone ran out of memory for the first clip, which you can imagine is rather aggravating. But I have more self-control than most people. It took a combination of drugging and betrayals, with my family member, and group harassment and all sorts of psychological warfare operations and techniques in order for me to lose my cool in my videos, as you've seen happen ever since the psych ops hit in about 2010. All my videos from 2009, including Illuminati Part 1 through 5 or so, were very calm. Obviously, that's not a coincidence. And so, what I was saying is that gangs get drugs from pharmaceutical companies, okay? They do their well. They bring profit to the media, to, the stores that sell their clothes, the managers, the corporations, the transnational corporations. They bring profit to, big drug cartels and secret societies and different groups. They keep track of which of their women are the most attractive, and you can imagine that's human capital, human resources. They can allocate them, or they can designate them for whatever activities they choose. It was quite apparent that clandestine operations were part of MK Ultra, and I showed you the clip in the other video. In fact, I'll put it on the screen real quick. Okay, go back and pause if you need to. Clandestine operations, okay, radiological, chemical, and biological technology to be used in clandestine or covert operations to control human behavior. That is what's going on still. The government didn't spend millions of dollars and figure out a lot of stuff just to turn around and not use it. Okay, now listen to this. The documentary from 1979, CIA Mind Control Techniques, ABC News, MK Ultra Program, Brainwashing Experiments. This is fact. Now listen carefully to what they say, and you will see that I'm correct about what I am insinuating, and you will be able to infer or ascertain the same sorts of things that I have through deductive reasoning. Now listen.
work ended in 1963.
Whole truth, not much.
And one of those who took part in these programs.
Thank you, sir.
In 1977, the Senate subcommittee heard testimony from many of them, but the testimony was not that revealing. According to one of them, they agreed amongst themselves to keep the inquiry within bounds that would satisfy the committee.
Flat out, one of the people who was there said, yes, we're going to keep this within the bounds that will satisfy the committee. Why? Because there's deeper things going on in society they don't wish to expose because they have no intention of stopping them. And there's other mind control operations or psych ops going on. Of course, from the Cold War, 1947 to 1991, on record psychological warfare and propaganda and covert assassinations, on record all over the world were part of the program. So why wouldn't they do it here? You have to start with your own home before you go around the world telling other people what to do with theirs.
Narcotics officer Charles Siragusa says that he was asked to limit his testimony by the man he reported to at the CIA.
He wanted me not to say anything.
To perjure yourself.
That's right. Well, either that, I'd have to perjure myself or take the Fifth Amendment. And I'm not about to take the Fifth Amendment for anybody.
Narcotic officers. Who sells narcotics? Oh, yes. Gangs distribute narcotics. Right. So, and the government brings it in, and we all know that from Iran-Contra and, the San Jose Mercury News exposing the drugs being brought into the black communities in California and the prison gang alliances with Bloods and Norteños, for instance. Yes, anyway, continue.
Okay. Former CIA chemist Robert Lashbrook testified he had no first-hand knowledge of the agency-run safe houses when, in fact, he supervised one of them.
There was very little.
And according to George White's diaries, was at a safe house when White conducted what he called an LSD surprise experiment. Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, whom we recently filmed near his California home, oversaw many of the CIA behavioral programs.
California.
He retired in 1973 and destroyed the records of this work. In sort of a valedictory letter, Dr. Gottlieb wrote that he and his colleagues had been able to maintain contact with the leading edge of developments in the field of biological and chemical control of human behavior. Dr. Gottlieb also testified before the Senate subcommittee, but from an anteroom where he could not be filmed because of what his lawyer termed health and cardiac problems. Dr. Gottlieb declined ABC News' request for an interview. And what of George White, the man who helped the agency in so many of its programs? He would retire here to Stinson Beach, California. And shortly before his death, he wrote to his boss at the CIA, Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, and summed up his career by saying, "It was fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, and cheat, steal, deceive, rape, and pillage, with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest?"
So for those of you who don't understand that gang members are actually telling you the truth in those countless interviews with gang members that say the government brings in the drugs, there's a lot more to it than they understand. They don't really understand why. They just see it as money and power. They don't do their due diligence the way that I do. Well, some of them do, for the most part. In case you didn't hear it the first time.
And shortly before his death, he wrote to his boss at the CIA, Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, and summed up his career by saying, "It was fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, and cheat, steal, deceive, rape, and pillage, with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest?"
All right, so how many of you think I'm crazy after what you saw in part one, in the video I uploaded before this, when I had a very good reason to be upset? It's just like when you're sitting there, you're taking a whole bunch of shit from somebody. They're messing with you, It's just for the same reason my brother was upset, ironically. It's the same reason I'm upset, except for I had a better reason. He woke up with a bunch of messages, okay? And then, he felt he was being treated unfairly. He went on a long rant with a lot of cuss words and everything. In his text message, you can imagine why he was there. He was probably acting very agitated and upset. And he was speaking, his words were kind of not making sense. That is natural, that's where we all act. When you think about it, that's how we all act when we're angry. And so then when I got about 18 messages in a row, as I have shown you in the video before this, and I knew that I was being treated unfairly because I've been doing this on record for 7 years. I have 10,000 vouched sources. I have countless testimonies verifying that I'm correct. And people who, you know, weren't being gang stalked or psychological operations weren't run on them until after they did interviews with me. So then I started getting very upset. The difference is my father came, he knocked on the door, he admitted he didn't know what was going on. About 2 minutes later or so, he came back up with psych meds. You know, I said, oh, it must be because he didn't take his medicine, proven definitively that he assumes that my natural response to injustice, my righteous indignation, my moral outrage, you know, and the behavior that follows is, you know, qualify as symptoms of a mental disorder. Let's hear this one last time so you understand the types of people who are benefiting from this situation and how sick they are. And the sickness and the disorder is in them. The architects, the social engineers of society, not people like me, especially not the few like me, who are transcendent heroes that stand up for what is right.
And shortly before his death, he wrote to his boss at the CIA, Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, and summed up his career by saying, "It was fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, and cheat, steal, deceive, rape, and pillage, with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest?"